Another reading from the Science of Mind magazine daily guides. Of course, for October, in fact, for the end of October. This month's readings, as a reminder, have been by Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, my boss at Creative Life Spiritual Center. Anyway, here we go. So this is it for another year for Reverend Jesse's writings, at least the daily guides. This one may be a little harder to understand, maybe not. It's called 3-in-1. 3-in-1 is a well-known philosophy in lots of religions. In Hinduism, there's 3-in-1. In Christianity, there's 3-in-1. We're talking about God, the divine, the all, if you like. And in various other traditions as well, although they all have different shades of meaning, different ways of looking at life. Anyway, the first quote is by Jacob, or Jacob if you like, Boehme. And he was a German philosopher of the 16th and 17th centuries. He was a Lutheran, he was a mystic, and he wrote quite a lot, didn't live very long, but he wrote a lot of stuff. And he was both rejected in his hometown, and then he went to a larger city, Minsk, where he was accepted, and then he moved back again. He had quite a checkered life, but he'd read a lot of books, and he did write at some stage about a trinity, more about in a second. He said, the pure deity is in all places and all corners, and present everywhere, all over. The birth of the Holy Trinity in one essence is everywhere. And at one stage, he defined the Trinity as the Father was fire, who gives birth to the Son, who is light, and then the Holy Spirit is the divine principle, or the principle of life. So that kind of gives you an idea of his philosophy. It's a Trinity, but it was kind of different. And from the Science of Mind, the textbook on page 333, believe it or not, remember this is to the single edition. He says, this is Ernest Holmes, we have now discovered a unity with the whole on the three sides of life. So he's looking at it from a different way, or from all three modes of expression. We are one with the body of the physical world, right? One with the creative law of the universe in the mental world, and one with the Spirit of God in the conscious world. Could we ask or hope for more? Would it be possible for more to be given? From now on, we shall expand, grow, and express only to the degree that we consciously cooperate with the whole. More about this in a sec. All of the great mystics have taught practically the same thing. Maybe. They have all agreed that the soul is on the pathway of experience. True. That is, of self-discovery. And that it's on its way back to its quote-unquote Father's house, and that every soul will ultimately reach its heavenly home. More about this in a bit. As I said, that was the Science of Mind textbook on page 333, about halfway through the book. And this is what Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings says about all that. He says, the mystical trinity, or triune nature, is expressed as spirit, cause, is expressed as spirit or cause, often called first cause actually, soul or medium, and body or effect. If you've seen the teaching symbol for a Science of Mind, it's a V. It's shaped like a V, and one end is curved out. And it's supposed to represent the three levels of existence, as it were, that the divine is all around, and the top portion is the conscious mind, and the middle portion is the subconscious or subjective mind of you and me and the divine, and then the bottom is the manifest universe. So that's what he's talking about here. Each of these three stages entwines with and inhabits the others. In other words, there's no clear boundary between the spirit, the soul, or medium, and the body. Our conscious choices received by the subconscious field yield effects in form. Okay, so in other words, we think of something, right? It goes into the subconscious realm, and then it becomes real, or not real, it becomes physical. He says each cause generates effects by working through a neutral-like medium, neutral soil-like medium, and sometimes, in addition to the gardening metaphor, Holmes suggests a plastic substance being molded. Holmes often used the planting a seed in the soil. So the idea of the plant is the conscious effort. The seed is the conscious effort in the soil, which kind of nourishes it, and then it sprouts up and becomes a plant, a flower, whatever. And then Reverend Jesse goes on to say, effects are not inert products, but carry the rudiments of future causation, just as a tree bears the seed of its own legacy. What does he mean by that? He means that every cause produces an effect, and that every effect eventually becomes a cause for a further effect. So life continues, things continue, and down the line. He says, you and I live in these three aspects all at once. We cause things to happen, that's our conscious mind. We react to causes beyond our reach, and meanwhile contemplate and interpret from the viewpoint of the subjective realm of feeling. So in other words, when we consciously think, okay, let's go into spiritual mind treatment. So you consciously produce something in your mind. You've got an idea, this is what I want. I want to increase my bank account. That's your conscious thought. And then you feel what it's like to have that bank account with that amount of money. And that's the subjective medium. The feelings there are the subjective medium. So you got the conscious, you got the subconscious, or subjective. And then when the bank account produces the amount of money that you envision, that is the cause. And then, of course, the bank account producing that amount of money allows you to do other things. So it in turn becomes a cause of something else. And that continues on throughout life. That everything eventually becomes the cause of something else. So that's what they're saying. So they're saying that there are three natures to us. There is the spirit, which is one with the divine. There's a subjective or subconscious realm, which is called the medium sometimes. And then there's the physical body. So spirit, mental part, and physical part. And that's what it's saying. And his affirmation is, I feel the presence as perfection, love, and goodness, making my life whole and complete. I feel the presence, capital P, as perfection, love, and goodness, making my life whole and complete. So what he's doing here is he's referring back to the way that things come into existence, that there's a concept. Around that concept is right feeling, and the combination of the two produces the physical universe, or things in the physical universe in our case. Does it make sense? I don't know. But this was Holmes' philosophy. It's been the philosophy in different ways of mystics and philosophers throughout the ages. Is it exactly how things work? We don't know, but it's a model of how we believe life is. And until we get a better model, we're going to use it. But as Holmes said, he wanted his teaching to help people to have a better life. He didn't specifically want to create a new religion, which he ended up doing thanks to the taxation system in California. But his objective was to help everybody, irrespective of their religious beliefs, to have a better life. Taught people spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, as a way of doing that. And then in his works, he goes on to explain why that happens, which is part of what today's teaching is all about. But his primary objective was to help everyone to have a better life. And he firmly believed that there is an aspect to us called spirit, and that spirit does not die when the body dies, but it continues, and it's on a learning path forever. that it will continue learning forever. So that was his basic philosophy. I also, all of you are reading from, let me see if I can pull it up here. I don't know what it's going to do here. Hold on a second. Let me see. I am trying to get back here beyond this one here. Let me see if it will do this. I don't know if it will. I don't think it will. Oh, yes, it will. No, it won't. I'm going to try and come back later because I think I owe you a reading from the Human Whisperer by Murphy, the little dog, Murphy the Human Whisperer. So I'm going to leave this at this for now. If it didn't make sense, then let me know. If it does make sense, fine. If, like me, you needed to think about these things, I've been studying for a long time. So when you first come across them, they're not easy to understand. But if you want to boil it down to a really short concept, is the fact that we do have control over our own destiny, that the universe is built that way, that we can actually wrap feeling around our conscious thoughts, and we can actually produce physical results in this universe, in the world. And I've seen it, as I mentioned the other week. I was doing some treatment for a friend of mine. He wanted to sell his motorcycle. Within a few minutes of me praying for him in this manner, he called me to say his motorcycle sold. And that's just a simple example. I've seen lots of examples of direct result of this kind of prayer. And there you are. So until hopefully a bit later on when I read Murphy, and that's light stuff. So tune in for both. Yeah, why shouldn't I go on twice today? So until later on today, namaste.